I don't know what to say. It should have been the bike trip of a lifetime. My friend Sean and I had left Seattle, gone to northern Montana. We're working our way down the Continental Divide towards Mexico. And we had just set up camp above Breckenridge, Colorado, this place called Baker's Tank. The sun was setting. We'd just eaten dinner. Our bellies were full. And man, that's just when everything started just to unravel. I figured at some point our chit chat would eventually wander its way around to our backstories. Sean's from Alaska, been raised in a log cabin. I'm from Louisiana, raised in Blackwater Lakes. But I just didn't see our conversations unfolding like it did. Later that night, I remember laying there in my hammock. 2 hours earlier, the world was good, life was enjoyable. But after that one conversation, I felt like dehydrated almost in the deepest parts of myself. Like the universe was smothering the life out of me. I woke the next morning, packed all my gear back on my bike, and as Sean emerged from his tent, he started making coffee. I told him, dude, I'm throwing in the towel, I'm headed home. I mean, there's a lot more to say. For a long while after that trip, after that conversation, anyone who knew me probably thought I was stuck in an existential midlife crisis. And looking back, it really was a crisis in so many ways. But on the other hand, it was the beginning of one of the best and most necessary journeys of my life. And on this side of it, I'm thankful for it. Sean and I met 4 years earlier at a local brewery in Seattle. He was presenting a documentary about riding around Iceland. We struck up a friendship and started riding together. And by far, Sean's one of the most intelligent people I know. He has a PhD in psychology. He's a dad. He's an entrepreneur, world traveler, adventure filmmaker. And looking back, getting to know Sean should have been like the beginning of a good bromance. But my conservative Christian upbringing had not prepared me for friendship with an educated, outspoken, and at the time, militant atheist. So our trip started in Seattle. We rode down from northern Montana down, started bombing south down the Continental Divide. And we'd been on the trail a week when we camped by Baker's Tank. And that night's conversation took a turn when Sean told me about his older brother dying in a car accident when he was a kid. After the funeral, the local church folks educated young Sean about their loving God who kills teenagers who sin. He told me later that when he did his PhD research, he interviewed hundreds of people in the South, down in the Bible Belt, about their core beliefs. Most all of them were Christians. And his presumption was that religion was nothing more than a fairy tale to comfort the simple-minded. In the end, that's what his research proved. They had no good reason to explain why they believed what they believed, other than that's what they were taught when they were raised up. Now, I didn't disagree. That night around the campfire, I was a little offended though, and I asked him, I said, so I believe there's a creator, a supernatural being, a God out there that made everything. Do you think I'm simple-minded? And I don't think I'm overstating. It seemed like a volcano erupted from within Sean. And it was aimed at me. And he began preaching about truth and science and all the harm religion, mainly Christianity, has done in the world in the name of an angry God. And I was quick to respond, and I said, well, I also don't believe in the God you don't believe in. And this was thin, it was anecdotal. And he resumed lecturing me with some cutting questions and some very pointy points. Where is the hard evidence that any God exists, he asked me. Where is this loving God when there are people who are suffering? Where is this loving God when there's all kinds of evil? Why does he allow his representatives on earth to be such ignorant assholes? Are they just imitating him? And that's when it hit hard. I thought about my last pastor. He'd once been a friend, but had turned, and he hurt me. And he hurt a lot of other people. His church leaders all kept silent as his insecurities just bloomed into madness. And my family and I didn't want to raise a fuss, so we just left. And no one seemed to care. But sitting by the tower that night, I realized this ride down the Continental Divide was my attempt to get over it all. And I was realizing that I wasn't getting over it. I think at that moment, I really began to understand my friend's skepticism. I realized there was a deeper question burning in me. Was there a God out there who cared for me? But I'd never felt permission to voice what Sean was saying. My experience was that the church belittled these types of questions and shunned and shamed anyone who asked. One pastor told me that these kind of questions were just rabbit trails leading nowhere. And now here I was, right on the spiritual version of the Continental Divide, on the edge, and all the heavyweight questions were, rabbit trails or not, they were unavoidable. Suddenly unavoidable. And I wasn't prepared to navigate them or the shame for even considering them. And it was a slippery slope. And I was sliding down the wrong side of this divide. And it didn't happen all at once, but what I knew about God and how I knew it seemed more and more unreliable. From the water tower, it took about 2 days to get back home. And then the depression settled in. Think about it. If there is no God, no creator, then there can be no meaning or objective purpose to life. Then friendships, love, creativity are for what? Survival? And I had always felt kind of unimportant and overlooked. But now if nothing mattered, I was insignificant on a cosmic level. You'd think I'd feel relieved to finally lay aside the fairy tales, but this realization ground against something inside of me, and I wondered, if this is true, why is meaninglessness so painful? Why is meaninglessness so intolerable? And a few of these questions began to keep me up at night. If we randomly came into existence and ultimately nothing matters, why would the truth of that matter at all? If nothing matters, what's wrong with believing in fairy tales? Why is being wrong bad and being right good? So evidently truth matters, but why? And by this point, I'm telling you, my existential angst was in full swing. And one morning at 3 a.m., while getting a glass of water, it hit me. I wasn't giving myself permission to really ask these questions. And I thought, what would it look like to question not only my Christian upbringing, but also what Sean said? What would it look like to go on a journey for answers that really satisfied me? And I allowed my imagination for the first time to run free. And by the time the sun rose that morning, I'd devised a plan. Using only logic and reason, I was going on a quest to find the answers to the big questions in life. I was going to throw myself into researching two main questions. Number one, how did the universe and human life come to exist? Number two, considering what I learned about question number one, I wanted to know, what is the purpose of human life? Whatever I currently believed, if it wasn't logical and reasonable, I'd scrap it. Whatever I researched and learned, if it was logical and reasonable, I'd consider adding it to my worldview or let it shape my worldview. Let me be transparent. I was not looking to wax philosophical, gain a platform, start wearing a beret. I wasn't looking to support my pre-existing suppositions. I was looking for direction, something to help me figure out how I should spend my one short little life. Took me 2 years. I know a lot of friends laughed at me and said I did too much navel gazing during this time, but man, I'm the main character of my own story, and I needed to find out the meaning for my life. So I accepted the invitation to go look. And in the end, I'm a heck of a lot better for it. A better dad, better husband, better friend. And at the end of each day, I sleep well knowing I'm not just mindlessly living out whatever my environment tells me. I know exactly why I believe what I believe. I know who I am and I know who I'm not. So in the end, here's my unsolicited advice. Number one, give yourself permission to ask the big questions. Number two, imagine what it would look like if you asked those questions and if you followed those rabbit trails. And number three, begin. Step into the unknown. Run down those rabbit trails and find the answers to life's persistent questions. Now, one of my favorite scenes comes from The Secret Life of Walter Mitty. It's when all is lost. Walter turns to a familiar photo on the wall, and he's looking to it to get answers, but no answers come. And it's almost imperceptible if you aren't paying attention. But it's the slightest of gestures, and it's the invitation that he needs, and it's the invitation that he was longing for. Leave the mundane. Forsake the predictable. Pack up your questions and come venture into the unknown. For in doing so, you will find yourself and more. Isn't that really the universal invitation to us all? Something's bugging us. Something's urging us. Something is beckoning us. It's been almost 10 years now, and I recently returned to the Continental Divide. I'd call it a solo pilgrimage. And when I got to that water tower, I thanked the creator of the universe for a very clear breadcrumb trail he left for me to discover during those 2 years of research. I found meaning in life, not just for me personally, but purpose that is objective, pure, and true for everyone. Now, how I got there with only logic and reason, that's another story. And I invite you to come with me on that journey.